Welcome to Steel Nation Live. I'm your boy, James Owen, with my partner here, Sanders Tisdale. Big, exciting show tonight. We're going to start off with Thanksgiving Day week. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our veterans, and not our veterans, but our active duty soldiers, men and women across the seas fighting for us. Thanksgiving won't be home with their families. We're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Green Bay Packers at home 2 weeks ago, and we lost to the Browns on the road last week. We'll go over there. Bunch of stuff going on for the show tonight. We have not one, but we got two guests. Former NFL referee Jim Debell will be on the show, and former two-time Super Bowl champion offensive guard Trai Essex will be on the show. He'll be stopping by the studio. A lot else to talk about. Matt Canada, not around anymore, and we're going to talk about that when we return here at Steeler Nation Live. Welcome back, Steel Nation Live, folks. Big show tonight. A lot happening. But first, we're going to talk about Thanksgiving week. Time to be thankful with your friends, your family, eating that turkey, eating all that stuffing, all the mashed potatoes, whatever you got going on. But a big shout out goes to the men and women in our armed forces who will not be home this Thanksgiving. We want to thank you, salute you for all the hard work you do defending our country and defending freedom. Also, for people who may not be around anymore, well, we all know people, unfortunately pass away. And this might be the first time that a loved one will not be spending it with you this Thanksgiving. So our hearts go out to your families. Let's rejoice. Let's be thankful for what we have, not what we don't have or what we want, but let's be thankful for what we do have: friendship, love, family. But getting right into it, Matt Canada, no longer an offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But before, Sanders, we start the show and talk about this, we just want to let the people know here, Steeler Nation Live, your fans, our fans, everybody's watching it, that in no way is, set to defame Matt Cannon in any way. We've talked about having getting fired for, years. And nobody wants to see somebody lose their job, especially this time of the year during the holidays. It's unfortunate. It has nothing to do with him as a person. I'm pretty sure he's a great guy, and that's why the Pittsburgh Steelers held on to him for so long, hoping, wishing, hoping things will turn around. But unfortunately, they didn't. It's a business. And like I said, when we talk about the subject here in about 2 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever, it's not to bash the guy. It's a business. And unfortunately, he wasn't producing in this game, in this day and age. If you don't produce, you don't have a job. So Sanders,
Yeah.
let's talk about this.
We've all seen the signs around. Fire Matt Canada. We've all seen them. Everybody knows somebody from a different team. Matt Canada, embattled 3-year offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, gone this morning. It was a huge move by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they finally made one. But now that he's gone, where does that leave everybody else on the team? Now, we wanted him gone, but what does that do with Kenny Pickett? Does that leave him in a better spot? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. How does that affect Mike Tomlin? This is the first time NFL head coach had to go through somebody in the mid-season up there since I think it was 1940.
1941.
Yeah, and you know what? Their replacements that coming in now for Mike Sullivan and Eddie Faulkner will be the new guys that's going to double team offensive coordinator duties for the Pittsburgh Steelers, James. And a lot of people out there are just wondering what's going to be the next step for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who should be the next guy for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Who should be the next offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers? The Pittsburgh Steelers have a lot of issues. And James, I don't think those issues are squarely on the shoulders of Matt Canada. Yeah, 60%, probably, maybe even a little more. I'm not sure. But I believe the other elephant in the room, which everybody's been yelling about anyway, you see it all over the internet, you see it all over the place, is Kenny Pickett. A lot of guys out there are saying Kenny Pickett is not the guy. He's not going to be the guy. James, I've heard people say like this, you know what? Just put in Rudolph, finish with Rudolph, and let Kenny figure out, from the bench. Maybe he can see better from the bench, but right now with him looking from the field and not really finding, the right combination of who he wants to throw the ball to, James, I don't know if that's a good I don't know if that's a good thing to do or not. So what are your thoughts?
Well, this is definitely a predicament. This is definitely a quandary. This is definitely, I don't want anything to do with this and make the decision, but unfortunately, somebody up top has to. And a lot of people are wondering, why did it take so long for the Pittsburgh Steelers front office to actually pull the trigger on this and, make the move now mid-season? Well, this hasn't happened since 1941, and you touched base on it, Sanders, with the coach was Bert Bell. Now, Bert Bell, back in the day, before Chuck Noll came around, he also coached for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he also coached the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had a record of 11-52-3, not the best. So you could understand why, he may have been fired during the season. I mean, they were 0-2 with a track history of what he had, but since 1941, it's now 2023. That's a long time for anybody in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization to have to, give somebody a pink slip. So I could understand the Rooneys, just trying to keep on and like everybody else, fire Matt Canada. But in the back of their mind, everybody, I could guarantee, was hoping that something would happen for the positive. You just want to be hopeful for this guy, but it just wasn't turning around. And a lot of, discrepancies and who actually told Matt Canada he's fired. A lot of people saying it's a Rooney. Others say it was Mike Tomlin. Does it really matter? I mean, Mike Tomlin came on and he was very, transparent, very upfront, and, just what it is. It's a business, and, things had to be done. So what we have to do now is regroup and figure out what we're going to do. Now, when I said a predicament with Kenny Pickett, that's a great question. Callers, 585-210-3917. Put your message up on the board. Let us know your thoughts. But my take is that when you get a quarterback like Kenny Pickett just coming out of college and you want to nurture him. You want to give him some growth. You want him to learn. But when you put in a situation where you can't learn, where you can't move forward, it's almost like a lose-lose situation. And we talked about these stats many times. So I'll say it again. Since Matt Canada became the offensive coordinator, so people don't think this is like a knee-jerk reaction like the Buffalo Bills did when they fired Ken Dorsey as their offense coordinator. We'll talk about that later on the show. But when you have somebody who's come to an organization and have done absolutely nothing productive for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, we won a game here, we won a game there. Tomlin still continued the tradition of not having a losing season since his tenure as a Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. But that's fine at the end of the day, but do you send any Super Bowl trophies? No, you don't. But what that does is that you put yourself in a predicament like, how do I get out of this? What do I got to do? But since he's become the offense coordinator of Pittsburgh Steelers really quick, every NFL team has, made 400 total yards in every game. Okay. Each team has done it at least 4 times. The Pittsburgh Steelers has done it 0. The Steelers ranked 29th in points, 30th yards per possession, 28th in total yards, 28th in points scored, and only scored 30 points in 2 games in the 3 seasons that Matt Canada has been the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, because of this, we don't know if it was Kenny Pickett or the bad leadership. I always said it was the leadership, and you gotta take these young guys and you gotta learn them. You gotta show them the ropes of the NFL. Kenny Pickett has the lowest pass touchdown rate of 1.9%. That's like 1 touchdown a game, maybe. Okay, with 500 plus attempts since 1970, 0.07. I'm sorry, 0.7 percentage of a touchdown passes per game, 31st in the NFL. And you look at it, you have to ask yourself this question: where Kenny Pickett came from, the University of Pitt, played in the same field, the same stadium, same locker room, pretty much right down the hallway. Let me ask you this, Sanders. Now I ask the people at home: if Kenny Pickett did not play for the University of Pittsburgh, would we even be having this conversation? Would he be a Pittsburgh Steeler?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't think he would be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I think it was the fact of, like we said, he was somebody that was next door, doing his thing next door. I mean, he played well, I guess, that season. But the thing about it is, we all know sometimes college talent doesn't equate to NFL talent, because like even the worst player on an NFL team was a superstar at a college. So and that's what it equates to with this guy. But the thing about it is, can he a guy like that can be molded? Look at Purdy. Look at Purdy for the 49ers. Good example. A guy taking last in the draft. That's just guy you just put on your team to say, you know what? Okay, we wrapped up the draft. All right, guys, you guys have a great night. Thanks for viewing in on ESPN. No, this guy's right now, he might be the best quarterback in the league, to be honest. And I see people writing on the board. Just want to hit them up as well. Let me get back to it real quick. I want to make sure. It's a Keon King. Dorsey was scapegoated. Matt Canada was justified firing, and he was never any good.
It was like he was in the studio before the show went on, Sanders, because we talked about this, because Ken Dorsey, his offensive scheme, it was a top 5 offensive scheme in the NFL. What was the problem? Well, too many turnovers, giving the ball up. If you go statistically what the Buffalo Bills did offensively, you would see that their record does not coincide with their capabilities of offense.
Right,
okay.
Right.
And like we talked, Sanders, for it, not that he was a scapegoat, but they had to take their eyes off the head coach McDermott, because he was getting a lot of heat. So what do? It's the offensive coordinator. He didn't get out there. He didn't fumble the ball. He didn't throw like 3 interceptions a game like Josh Allen in. I mean, Josh Allen is that baseball player, like a Mark McGwire. He either hits a home run or he strikes out. And that's what Josh Allen has been doing. He either throws a touchdown or he throws an interception.
Yeah, but I think to me it doesn't make a difference if you if you can throw a touchdown. I mean, you could throw a pass or not throw interceptions, but yet you're not connecting on your wide receivers either. So the problem with Pickett, what I had, and I think the Steelers had, was they had to make that choice. You know what? And I knew common sense would tell you they wouldn't do both. So you know what? Let's see if it is Kenny Pickett the problem. That's probably the way I would have approached it. Let's see if it is Kenny Pickett. And the Steelers made a good option by saying, you know what? Let's get rid of the elephant in the room for right now. And if the elephant's tail starts acting up, we're going to get that out of the room as well. But for right now, I can see the Steelers making a good move. But the thing about with Kenny Pickett is, how do you train a guy, to connect on 5-yard outs? I mean, I don't know. I mean, is his confidence that damaged? You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing with Mike Sullivan, who will be calling the plays. He will be the offensive coordinator, and like you said, Eddie Faulkner, he'll be doing the day-to-day operations, setting up the game plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers offensively, and Mike Sullivan will be calling the plays. How beneficial is this to Kenny Pickett? Well, he is the quarterback's coach, and they work hand in hand. This is going to be the true litmus test to see if it is, in true fact, Kenny Pickett not being productive, or if this was the bad, horrible play calling from Matt Canada. If you look statistically, offensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers, how many times does Kenny Pickett throw over the middle?
0.
Pretty much 0. How many times does Kenny Pickett throw to the tight end? Maybe 1%, right? If you look at all the passes, they're sideline, back, over the shoulder passes, or if he has a wide open receiver like Pickens did a couple of times for his long touchdowns, or Calvin Austin III, just breaks open in the hole and goes yard for a touchdown. That's different, but you have to utilize the whole field. So now we're going to find out who really was the culprit of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. For right now, we have Matt Canada. He's gone. And so now we have putting 2 heads together, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are actively searching for the next offensive coordinator. So folks, messages on the board.
I got messages popping up all over the place. So like we said, Steve, 49er Steve, you know what, guys, we're going to be opening up the phone lines. The phone lines were kind of acting up, but I will have them working by the time before the show's over, because I want to get calls coming in as well. And the other thing as well is that, let me see, Carl Calandrio, he said, you know what, Steve Balboni is a better analogy. And he said he's not an NFL quarterback. And I believe he's talking about Kenny Pickett, but
yeah, Steve Balboni was an amazing first baseman for the New York Yankees. Yeah, I can agree. I can agree. Yeah, that's right. I mean, home run or strikeout. But we threw in there Mark McGwire because he's more well known than Balboni, unless you're a Yankee fan. So
and also let me get Kenny Thompson. He said, you know what? Kenny Pickett has problems reading the defense, and there's a lot of things going on out there, and a lot of people out there, they got to face it. I go to these boards, you watch it and you go to these boards and listen and things like that, and you see people are actually sitting there and saying, you got to do this. To me, making excuses for Kenny Pickett. I don't know what you guys think.
Here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up about reading defenses. So here's what's going on for the Cleveland Browns game. So the game plan was told to Kenny Pickett that the Browns defense usually goes man coverage. So they set the offensive scheme for man coverage. Well, when they switched to cover 2 and zone, Kenny Pickett brought that to the attention of Matt Canada. Matt Canada didn't change the offense. He said, this is what we're going to do. So you really can't, if your offensive scheme is supposed to match against the defenses, what they're running. So, I mean, if you know a set defense and you know a play that you can call to counter that, you call it. But under Matt Canada, I guess there was a lot of confusion where Pickett was actually reading the defenses, and Matt Canada said, no, we're going with the game plan. And there you go. We got a lot of sacks. I mean, if you're looking for guys to be open in the zone, but they're not playing zone or playing man, you got the 5 guys rushing in. It's kind of hard for a young quarterback. Now, I mean, young, being in the NFL. We all know Kenny Pickett is not some 19, 20-year-old. He's 25 years old. So when I say young, I mean, in accordance to his tenure in the NFL. So he's still, learning how to be an NFL quarterback. But I've been saying it since day one. I mean, if you don't have good leadership, you got to do what your boss tells you to do, unless it's illegal. But if the boss says, no, this is how we're going to do it, this is what we're going to do, if that's not your strength, you're going to fail.
Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, you know what? Like we said, we're to that point of the show. I got my guest on in the green room. I think I can see him. Much ups to him for showing up big on him. And that's still a love, man. Like you said, he showed up, and that's what it's all about. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Yep. Just checking in. Oh, yep. He says okay.
Let's put him on.
All right, guys.
Let's get him in the hot seat.
All right, guys. Like I said, you know what? I know he might not be able to hear it, but let me send this out to him. Nice guest, huge guest here on Steeler Nation Live. So let's pull it in, James, right now here on Steeler Nation Live. If any of you know the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team built on tradition, titles, a team that come from the ground up to making the NFL what it is today, championship legends. Our next guest for Steeler Nation Live comes from that anchor that built their team from the 05 Super Bowl team to the 08 teams for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A 3rd round pick in the 05 draft, and he has been astounding ever since he was in the league for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in 2012, ending his career with the Indianapolis Colts before getting 2 titles with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We welcome Trai Essex to Steeler Nation Live. Hey guys, welcome Trai Essex. It's Steeler Nation Live. Hold on, brother. Let me get you in the full shot screen. There you go.
Wow, look at this guy.
Hey Trai, how things going with you, brother?
I'm blessed, man. Happy holidays to you and yours. I know Turkey Day is right around the corner. I'm excited. Got some news this morning that everybody woke up to that at least should put everybody on high alert going into this weekend, something that everybody's been calling for, but I'm sure we'll get into that. But I'm blessed, and thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah. Hey, Trai, one of the main things we wanted to talk about is, like I said, you're a guy, you came into this league and you were around, you had great players around you. Jerome Bettis, you had who else?
Ben
Roethlisberger, Hines, you name it.
Heath Miller.
San Antonio Holmes. You had great players around you. You did some great things. 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's done some great things. But now you see this situation with the Steelers are in right now, modern day Kenny Pickett. Now, I've been following you for a while, brother, because I love guys like you who come in and do that dirty work, that grunt work. Those are guys, you guys are the ones that should be getting the daggone trophy, as far as I'm concerned.
In the trenches.
Yes, in the trenches, doing the dirty work, brother. And you see now, you got Kenny Pickett coming into a new situation. He's not surrounded he's surrounded with a good cast, but not the same cast that you had. What are your thoughts here on Kenny Pickett? I mean, I know you said some things on what is it now? Twitter X.
Yep.
And I mean, what is your true thoughts right now in modern day with Kenny Pickett?
So yeah, it's tough to compare eras. I mean, I was part of a great team that was already being built to win Super Bowls. I mean, you mentioned all the skill positions, but I also got a chance to block next to Hall of Fame Alan Faneca and Pro Bowler Marvell Smith, and the leadership from Jeff Hardings and Kendall Simmons and Max Starks. I mean, we had a line that had been there and had high aspirations. Kenny's in a whole different situation where he's coming in and asked to lead guys who aren't necessarily leaders. He's the oldest one in the group, I think.
Right.
As far as the skill positions are concerned, I know Deontay might be a little older, but Kenny's coming in as somebody with a lot of college experience and already with a certain bravado and confidence about himself. So that's the one thing I do love about Kenny is that he is, if anything, he's going to ride for his team. He gives off this air that he could be a leader and control that locker room and command respect in the huddle. And so he's been thrown into a tough situation because I think that the game plan that Canada has had for him the last year and a half or so has not highlighted his strengths. And it seems like Kenny has lost a lot of confidence as far as what makes him who he is, what made him a first-round draft pick, what made him in the top 5 Heisman voting his last year in college out of Pitt, having that amazing year to end his college career. All that stuff that made him who he was, I think he's kind of lost his way. And so hopefully with this transition from Canada to Sullivan calling plays and Faulkner leading the offensive group, that he can, the one thing that I want them to do, I think one of the things that needs to be number one on their priority list is making sure that Kenny gets that mojo back. Whatever mojo he had that made them feel like he deserved to be a first-round draft pick, they need to do whatever it takes to get that back. That's priority number one, because if you start there, then I think everything else will follow.
So Trey, let me ask you this. Offensive, you played with obviously a Hall of Fame offensive line. You guys played together for years. You gelled. You worked together well. You knew what Hardings was doing. You knew what Max Stark was doing. You guys backed each other up. How difficult for a quarterback is, well, you've seen how the Steelers in the past 2 years, how they piece together an offensive line, and late in the season they start to gel. But as an offensive lineman, how do you build that confidence up with a new quarterback when you got, a line that's just pieced together? When you got free agents from other teams, other styles of play. Now they're playing Pittsburgh Steelers football.
Right.
How can you atone to, that helping Kenny Pickett, or is that, not helping Kenny?
So great question. I think the more time, and Ren, I think they're doing the right things, but it's not showing from a offensive yards standpoint. Our running game has been really good the last 3 weeks, and obviously Warren has really shown to be capable of being a number one back in this league. Now, Najee is getting a little bit of flack, but I thought he's had some good the last couple of weeks. I don't think this last week wasn't his best, but the 2 weeks prior, I thought he was hitting his stride as well. But both of those combined, you always want a running quarterback, a young quarterback, to have a good running game to fall on. And I think the offensive line is starting to gel to the point where we are comfortable calling bread and butter plays. And what I mean by bread and butter plays, like no matter what the defense lines up in, you have confidence that you can get 3 to 4 yards no matter what, because you know that you love calling that play. You know where the running back is going to hit the hole. And I think they're starting to get into that rhythm. And that's only going to do wonders for Kenny. The running game is working. If the OC is doing what he's supposed to do and combining the run game with play action passes, with short dropbacks, with confidence building type pass plays, I think that's how you build up the confidence that Kenny might have lost. And so give him some easy routes. Get the ball into the hands of your playmakers early on in the game so that the playmakers aren't being frustrated and trying to do too much later in the game as far as route running and trying to get open. If you get them going early and you get into a rhythm, then I think it just bodes well for everybody's confidence up front. But it's all about how you start. And I actually brought this up. I think for Kenny, one of the things that he did really well last year and in the preseason this year was the no-huddle offense. The no-huddle offense is a big reason why he was able to have success, because he got to dictate what plays were being called. He knew exactly where the ball was going, what he was going, what reads he was looking for.
Good point, brother.
And for a reason, we haven't done that barely at all this year, unless we absolutely needed to. But he seems to be very comfortable operating within a no-huddle where he can have a group of 5 or 6 plays and decipher between them which one he wants to call versus which defense. And so I think maybe Coach Sullivan, Coach Faulkner put a game plan together, and I think you start out this game versus Cincinnati giving Kenny the keys to the car, letting him call these plays in the huddle. And I think that even if it's not immediately successful, just giving them that confidence that, okay, you have the faith in me to get this offense going, rev this engine back up to where we think we're capable of with the skill positions that we have. I think that's going to go a long way to building up this confidence.
Right. I love it. And that I agree with that as well. Now, let me ask you something too, because it was one thing I wanted to put out to you, because you being an offensive lineman, former offensive lineman with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you guys had an aggressive run game back then. I mean, you guys were doing heavy run. You know, Willie Parker, he's been on the show. Willie was doing heavy run. And the thing about it is now you got us somewhat, it's like that struggle to run. And I'm pretty sure you watch these games on Sunday and you're like, wow, 2 yards. And a lot of that. And that thing I do love is that Najee, tried to come to the offensive line, try to communicate. And that's one thing I do love about Najee. Najee tried to communicate, open up to his linemen to say, what do you guys want? What do you guys think works best for you? I mean, do you think that's a positive when the running back is coming to you and say, guys, what type of offense you guys run that makes you think that you guys block well on?
See, I love that. I don't take something about that philosophy I love. I'm always trying to find solutions. Like, you can harp on problems all day long. You can bitch and moan about problems all the time. But what is the goal? Like, what do you want to live in this unsuccessful phase right now? Or do you want to try to find solutions? And so another quote that I like to say, what's the definition of insanity? Doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. And so kudos to Najee. And that's one thing that I love about Najee is he is always authentically himself. And he is a leader, bona fide leader. I know that he commands a lot of respect in that locker room. And for him, he wants to go up and ask the offensive line, okay, this isn't working. This isn't what works for you guys. That's how you find solutions. That's what leaders are made of. People who want to find solutions and try to fix things when things aren't working like they're supposed to do. And so I'm sure they got together, and every offensive line knows what they like to run. Personally, for us, we had this play called 22 double. When all else failed, if we couldn't run toss plays, if we couldn't run draw plays, you know what? You want to get us back on the right path? You want us to get back into a rhythm? Run 22 double, 123 double. Run it 3 or 4 times in a row. We'll get you a first down.
I think we found a new offensive coordinator.
Sometimes you just got to reset it back to the factory settings and do what it is what you started camp in. These are the base. Sometimes you got to go back to the basics, work on the fundamentals, 2 double teams across the board, smash mouth football, and just get 3 or 4 yards and impose your will on the other defense. And then everything else will open up from there.
Trey, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this. To the Novus fan who's watched right now, and my mom's out there, and she watches the show religiously. Hey, and what she says, and she gets very frustrated. Why do they run up the middle? Why don't they run around the outside? And if you could explain that to Mom, because she's listening right now, you Super Bowl champion, you've been there, you won it, your offensive line. Could you explain to my mom why?
So there is a rhyme and reason to why you want to run and start things inside out. per se. And so what you want to do is you want to soften up the middle of a defense, because if you do that, it's going to slow up their pass rush when you do decide to pass the ball. And it's actually going to give them a second hesitation when you do decide to run outside. But it's all about when you call these run plays. Like, you just don't want to be running up the middle just to run up the middle 3 times in a row when they know that you're going to run up the middle. Sometimes that work when you're in a goal line situation, you only need an inch or whatever. But which me from an offensive lineman standpoint, and I think from a lot of OCs who really put a lot of value in offensive line, you want to soften up the middle first. You get those guys going backwards, those big 350-pound D tackles. If you push them back into the middle linebacker's lap, that's going to work wonders when you decide to pair those middle plays with a good play action play, or when you fake the middle and do an end around, like which Canada love to do every 4 or 5 times a day to no avail. But if you really want
jet sweep,
if you really want those plays to work, you really got to pair them up with other plays so that you can trick the defense and get that middle linebacker a second longer to think. When the tight ends, when Freiermuth is running by him, give him that second hesitation so that Penny can hit him down the seam and we actually take advantage of the middle of the field in the passing game. You want to be able to hit those outside stretch plays. So you don't want to avoid running up the middle, but you also don't want to just do it just to do it. There has to be a rhyme and a reason to it. And usually the offensive linemen, the good OCs and good offensive linemen like to soften up the middle first and then work their way out.
All right, folks, if you're just tuning in here to Steel Nation Live, this is a handsome young man who's on our show, Trai Essex, former Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl champion, 2-time, not once, but twice, 2-time Super Bowl champion. This handsome devil right here is coming into your living room and your car radio, however you're listening, watching here, Steel Nation Live. This is Trai Essex. Trai, we appreciate you coming on Steel Nation Live, taking time, holiday week, you're getting ready for Thanksgiving. We appreciate you coming on, but believe it or not, we have a big game coming up on the road against the Bengals next week. We all know that Burrow, he's out for the rest of the season, so we really don't have to worry about him as much. Your prediction, your score, do you think that this new offensive scheme with the double-headed dragon here with the offense, can they get it together? Can we beat the Bengals next week? And if so, score.
We definitely have the pieces to do it. And actually, I mean, everybody knows Joe Burrow. The pride in me says, I don't care who's showing up on the other side of the ball, but you do have to be conscientious of who you're going against. And there is no doubt about it. Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the game, and it's unfortunate for the Bengals to lose him for the rest of the year. It's our event, but we had to take advantage of it. I mean, they got a kid, I think his name is Browning, who's coming in as their backup. Don't know a whole lot about him. I think he went to the University of Washington or something. But we have to be able to take advantage. You know, our defense is going to show up. Our defense is going to try our best to limit their offense and limit guys like Jamar Chase. I mean, no matter who's back there throwing the ball, you still got a beast in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on the outside, and you got a very established running back in Joe Mixon. So they still have plenty of weapons to cause damage. And so we don't want to take anybody lightly. We had them twice, and if we want a shot at a division, we need both of those games. Because even if we lose the Baltimore 4-2, that gives you a pretty good chance to compete for the division, seeing that both the Browns and the Ravens have 2 losses in the division already. And so you want to give us the best chance to do that. We need to get this game. It's in Cincinnati. That's always a tough place to play. But I think with everything going on, I think our spark's going to be lit underneath our team. We have some new juice and Sullivan calling plays. So I think that's going to get guys motivated. I think our offense may actually get above the 350. I don't want to say 400. I know that's the big stat.
All right.
But we get 300 to 350 yards of offense. I think that gives us a pretty good shot to put up at least 21 to 24 points. So I think a victory for Pittsburgh. I think it's all of our games are close, unfortunately. My heart does not appreciate that every Sunday.
Listen, I got 911 on speed dial, all right?
Every week. There's no reprieve at all. But I think we pull out a tough one, 24-18.
2418. I'm
All
gonna write
right,
that
yeah.
down. 2418.
Yeah, I also have an
Trai.
ambulance parked in my driveway, just like game day. They're right there. They're ready to go.
Much
Hey,
needed, definitely.
Trai, one thing I want to get, brother, because I appreciate you stopping by and Still Nation Live, giving us your feedback, giving us, like I said, and we appreciate you because everybody knows there's only one nation that's still a nation. But the thing about it is, brother, what do you think about things that's going on out there as well? What are you into? What are things that you into? Because everybody's out there listening, would love to know what Trai is getting into, what Trai's got going on, and how can people see what different things Trai's got going on.
So, I mean, I transitioned from playing for the Steelers to being a Steelers super fan. I mean, I'm just like you guys. I'm in there reading everything there is about Steelers, want to know everything that's going on. So that's obviously one of my passions. I didn't just get away from football. I'm still very much part of Steeler Nation and very active. But right now I'm working with former players with the NFLPA, trying to make sure everybody's aware of their benefits. So I worked with a company called Exos for a long time, for a year.
Good man.
Now I just work with the NFLPA, period, because I'm very passionate about the transition that so many guys have to make after they get done playing ball. Usually your career is taken from you when it's outside of your terms. Usually it's an injury or you're getting cut. You usually don't walk off on your own terms. There's only a few guys that can do what Tom Brady and the Peyton Mannings of the world can do. And so it usually leaves guys in a little bit of a rut when you get the game taken away from you. A game that you've played your entire life, that you've shaped your entire life around. And so it is my job to help these guys find the right benefits to help them continue to live a full and prosperous life after they're done playing ball. And then, but my number one thing that I do, I'm daddy daycare. I have three beautiful kids, 11, 9, and 6 years old, full of soccer practices and soccer games. And,
oh God bless you, brother. That's a battle right there, brother.
Yes, between me and my awesome wife, we got our hands full with those three. But
he's a home coordinator now.
Yeah, right. Hey, I just want to let you know real quick before you head out. A lot of people on the board are saying, you know what? How's this guy not on ESPN? Comment. The analyst.
He's got the looks.
I know he's got the look, and he got the talk, brother. I gotta give it to you, man. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
I've done the color commentary thing before.
Look at Max Starks. I mean, you and Max Starks. He's got the end. Okay.
We've talked about it and doing something together. So stay tuned. It's not beyond a reasonable scope that we put something together as well. But that's my buddy.
We would love to work with you too. Yeah. I mean, we're open for business too. So if you got any slots out there, ESPN or whatever Max Scott's going on in Pittsburgh, hey, we'd love to join you in the booth.
Hey, but like we said, brother, much appreciation to you for being on Steeler Nation Live. And again, you're a true Steeler from us, brother.
Champion.
2 Super Bowl rings, 2-time Super Bowl champion. Trai Essex, brother. Thanks again for stopping by Steeler Nation Live, dog.
Wow. Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. Take care of yourself.
Wow. You know what? In the books one more time.
That's what it's all
Trai
about.
Essex.
Trai Essex. Thanks, brother. We appreciate you. I see you in the green room. I'll be texting you. All right. Yep. And that's what it's all about, guys. This guy was a phenomenal talent. Stopping by Steeler Nation Live, giving us his talk, giving us his feedback. And we got a caller that's gonna be coming in. I'm gonna try to grab that real quick because we got another guest that's gonna be showing up in a couple minutes. But let me see if I can grab him on here now.
Work that magic.
All right, welcome to Steeler Nation Live. Who we got on the line? Let's see if we got him.
This is MC Reggie Fresh from the MC Reggie Fresh Morning Show.
MC Reggie Fresh, what's going on? This guy is one of the biggest Steeler fans out there. Make sure you check him out. Hey, Reg, dude, we got to make this quick because we got another caller that's coming in a couple minutes, brother. So let me tell you, give me your thoughts on what you thought about the whole thing with Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett.
I feel it was a serendipity law.
Oh, Lord.
He said serendipity.
Serendipity means something happened bad, end up being good.
I buy that for $1.
I get that.
Yep,
I get that.
Yeah, that's good.
So what that means is, let me break it down. If we had won that game, Matt Canada would still be our offensive coordinator.
You know what? You just took. You know what? Thanks for stealing my thunder, pal. Thanks for stealing my thunder. I appreciate it. But you're smart though. You know what you're doing. Oh, we lose him. Did we lose you?
Oh, must have lost him.
Oh boy.
All right. Hey, like I said.
Okay.
There
Wait,
you go. There
he's
you
back.
go, brother. There you go. I think you were there.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So what's your feedback? Do you think both of them was the problem, or do you think it was Kenny Pickett? Which one do you think was the problem?
It was the offensive coordinator. I could have been the offensive coordinator and won that game Sunday.
Right.
There's no way in the world that I would sit here and watch that running back get 145 yards and you wait to the end of the game and you throw 3 incomplete passes and only 14 seconds off the clock to the same daggone receiver. Ridiculous.
Yeah. I gotta agree with him. Hey, you know what?
I'll tell you what would have happened if I was the offensive coordinator.
Go ahead.
Real quick. So look, we get the ball, first and 10, it goes to Warren. The next play goes to Nazi. We're going to get about 5 yards right there. Then it's a pass play. First down. Next thing you know, they calling their timeout. I'm making sure all the timeouts are. And we're going to get in that 45 range at least for Boswell to go on and seal the deal. Simple as that. It's not too hard. Matt Canada gets too much money to not make them kind of decisions. So it's time for him to go.
Love the passion.
Hey,
Love
you know
the
what?
passion.
We got this next video caller coming in.
Fellas.
Hey, before you go,
me on again.
babe, before you go, give me a score for the game versus the Bengals.
Hey, look, I'm going to tell you what it's going to be. I'm going to say 21-17.
21-17 Steelers.
Gotcha.
I got you. I'm writing it down. Reggie Fresh, MC Reggie Fresh.
MC Reggie Fresh Morning Show.
Hey, make sure you guys check him out. He's on YouTube as well. MC Reggie Fresh Morning Show. This guy's been talking to a lot of Steelers, also talking to other entertainment people out there as well, and a lot of knowledge on this guy's channel. Hey, Reg, like I said, brother, I got your back, brother. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man.
You know it.
Matter of fact, you're a veteran. I forgot to say, happy veteran. The other guy, what's his name beside you? I know you're a veteran. I'm a veteran, so salute you.
You
That's
got
it, baby.
You know it.
That's it. Hey, like I said, MC Reggie Fresh Morning Show. Like I said, you got to get it straight. I see our other caller at the bottom of the screen here in the green room. I'm just gonna ask him because I think you got your camera like up and down like this, or your phone. So if you turn it sideways, it's gonna fill out that whole screen. Boom!
Yeah. Whoa! Look at that.
There you go.
Look at this handsome. Well, it's a handsome devil show tonight. That's what we got.
So while he's fixing that up, fixing the screen up as well, you guys, like we said, the next guest. I told you, we rolling here tonight on Still a Nation Live. A lot of guests, a lot of things coming in. He might be coming back on. He stepped out for a minute. A lot of things happening. Trai Essex, that was huge. 2-time Super Bowl champion. You had to be here to check him out. Guys, I love the way you guys are writing on the board. We got guys out there writing scores. 22-12 Bengals, I heard. Then you got, let's see, what else is out there? I mean, man, we getting it all down, man. They say great interview. Everybody loved the interview.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's back on. So our next guest come through the green room, local hometown hero here, Coach. I call him Coach because he was my coach back in high school. Jim Debell, NFL referee, USFL referee. He teaches, he trains. Folks, line up them questions for him because he's going to answer them. But one of the most not interesting, but one of the most important things that Jim Debell is going to come to, not talk about how great the NFL refs are. Battlefields, the ball fields. It's huge. And what it does is help veterans get a job, become a referee, an official for sports, any sports, football, basketball, baseball, umpires, hockey, you name it. Jim Debell is going to come on, and he's going to tell you in about 3 seconds when we put him on the main screen. Look at this guy. I mean, he's all over the place. This guy knows it all. He does it all. And we're so happy that Jim was a past guest on our show not too long ago, a couple years ago.
Yep.
We're so happy for Jim to come back on the show and talk all about battlefields and ball fields. And, there is going to be a merger, USFL and XFL. And Jim's going to talk about it in 3, 2, 1 second. Bring him on. There he is.
There he goes.
Look
there
at
he
this
goes.
guy.
There we go. Let me get it straight there, Jimmy. Booyah.
There. Yeah. Jim Debell, NFL referee, battlefields of ball field. You know it. Pro bass fisherman. I don't know, pro bowler. This guy does it all.
Pro Bowler.
Jim, welcome to the show. We're so glad you take time out of your busy schedule to come here, Steeler Nation Live, and tell us what's going on, Jim.
Oh, it's great to be back. One thing I'm not is technically advanced. I'm technically challenged. So if I get cut off here or whatever, I don't know what's going on. I'll ring you right back up. All right.
Sure, not a problem. You can, technology these days. Is it really modern or not?
Right.
But you didn't prep me for this, Jamie. You didn't tell me I had to follow MC Reggie there, man. That's a tough act to follow.
Listen, I didn't have to worry about nothing. What you bring to the table?
My understanding was I was coming on after Trai, and I was out on the field officiating when Trai was out there for the Steelers, number 76, the big old offensive lineman. So that I was looking forward to following him up, and then you threw me a curveball.
There you go. Well, how can you not have MC Reggie on the show? I mean,
don't get me wrong, man. He's got all the answers. They need to sign him as the OC.
Right. MC Reggie Fresh. Hey, but you know what, Jim? Like we said, a lot of people out there. First off, I want to start off the conversation talking real quickly about what the NFL now, because we know how when you refed in the NFL, you played with you refed over the likes of what's the name, I don't know why it escapes me, defensive back for the Seattle Seahawks.
Sherman.
And you said Sherman had a nickname for you out there while you were out there reffing.
Yep, Sherman used to call me the skinny sheriff, and when that was back when they were the boom defense and winning the Super Bowl, and they would just lock the receivers down right at the line of scrimmage and hold, and they would basically dare you to call defensive holding, and if you called it, then they would hold again and dare you to call it twice in a row. So I don't know, one of my first few games with the Seahawks, I think I nailed Sherman back to back, and he realized, wow, this guy's going to call, he's going to call this. And Coach Carroll got on me a little bit. He had just given me a piece of bubble gum, which I don't know if you've ever noticed that Pete Carroll chews a lot of bubble gum on the sideline.
We hope it's
I said, hey, Coach, how about sharing a little bit? So, he gave me a piece of bubble gum, and then back to back, I nailed his D-back with defensive holding. So, but going forward from there, Sherm realized that you get to know the players as an official, and the players get to know you as an official. And whenever I'd show up at Seattle, he'd always, let his D-backs know that the skinny sheriff was in town.
Now, for all our Steeler fans out there, you also have an interesting story.
Wait a minute. I don't mean to interrupt, but Jamie, no. I know you're a sheriff, and I don't think you've ever been the moniker of skinny sheriff.
Nope, not at all.
You put a few on when you played for me, so that
Yeah, back in the day,
that's just getting old, and unless you have my metabolism.
No, I didn't even know what a metabolism is anymore. And Sanders could, he's in the same boat with me at the same end.
Oh, here we go.
Don't put up with any of his crap. All right.
Yeah, right.
What am I getting roasted or what?
Hey, you brought me on.
That's right. It is what it is. But you do have an interesting story about Ben Roethlisberger. You told it last time you were on the show. I really enjoyed it. I think for the new viewers out there who haven't heard the story, if you can just tell it real quick before we get going on the battlefields of Ballfield, that'd be great.
Sure, I don't mind. I'm not on here to talk about officiating or rules or anything, so I'll just talk about what happened with Ben. So it happened to be my very first game ever. It was preseason, and you get brought in, as a rookie, and they slap you right into the first preseason week game. And I'm sure all your fans definitely know that first preseason game, there's over 90 players, I think, eligible to participate, wearing the uniform, signed a contract, and they're soon to be cut down to whatever they go to now. I don't know, 73 or whatever. But that first game, it's over 90. So needless to say, the sidelines can get a little crowded out there for preseason game week one. And my position's a side judge. I'm deep in the defense. I call all the penalties that all your calling people hate, pass interference and kick catch interference, everything that results in, quite a bit of yardage in the NFL. So I'm on the sideline going up and down. And after the first series, Ben and all the first teamers are out, if they even played. But I know Ben did play one series in my first game. And so they're on the sideline. And because there's so many people, the guys that were in the first team and only going to play that one series end up way down the field, outside of the box, maybe on the 20-yard line or whatever. So the play got kind of smushed down into the red zone, and there's Ben and a couple of his linemen. Trey may even been a part of this story, and they're crowding the sideline like players do. We all played, you crowd the sideline. And I need a little room to run, and I kind of have to go around Ben once, and the next play goes. So finally I turn around, I go, hey, Ben, not for nothing, but can you just back up, and a few of your buddies back up, give me a little room to run here. So he basically ignored me. He's like, who's this rookie, telling me what to do. And another play goes by, and now I kind of almost run into him again. I'm like, listen, Ben, fast forward to Sherman Douglas calling me the skinny sheriff. I'm like, Ben, look at me. If I'm not looking and I run into you, you're not even going to feel it. And I might be done before my career even starts. So he looks at me and he goes, what? And I go, look, you're 3 times the size of me. You're 6'5", you're 250, whatever you are, maybe more. And, I'm not going to win the battle if I run into you. And by then, Coach Tomlin had seen Ben and I kind of going back and forth a little bit. And he wandered down with his headset on, and his look that he has and his baseball cap. And he's like, what's going on? And Ben looks at him and he goes, Coach Tomlin, this rookie's calling me fat. And he goes,
Oh, jeez.
and like, here I am. I'm like, well, I never used that word fat, was I was about to say. And Tomlin just turns around and walks away and he goes, you are.
Nice. Love
So,
it.
I mean, from that point forward, we kind of had that, when I'd get a Steelers game, I'd shake his hand and go, yeah, you're the guy that called me fat. I'm like, no, let's go have a good game. Let that go. I never said that.
You're like, let it go.
Let it go. I never said fat.
So we're going to get back to his referee and stuff in a second. But very important program that's dear to my heart that you introduced to me, with the veterans here in Rochester, New York. It's big. Mr. Pereira started this over in the West Coast. You could talk to the fans out there listening who do not know what Battlefields the Ball Field is, Jim. If you could just articulate that and let our fans know what the program is and what it's about.
Somehow, I think we lost. Oh, well, let's see. I think we lost you, Jim. Well, there you go. All right. For some reason, your voice cut out.
All right. I'm sorry about that. But no, I was saying that you still got me?
Yes.
Yep. Still got you.
All right. I was saying that Mike had major back surgery, and that's why people don't see him, coming on when they do a challenge flag or whatever right now. But he'll be back next year. He's recovering fine. I spoke to him this week. And but Mike started the foundation, and basically, long story short, it helps veterans like Jamie is become youth sports officials in their hometown. And Mike's foundation, Battlefields the Ball Fields, will pay for the veterans' first 3 years to become a sports official. People don't realize that you have to pay for a uniform, you have fingerprinting, you have background checks, you have uniforms, you have dues for your local association. Basically, it comes to almost $1,200 a year to sponsor a veteran to become a youth sports official. And we have over 500 across the whole nation in all kinds of sports, focused mostly on football because, Mike's obviously a football guy. I'm a football guy. So most of them are youth football officials, but it's just helped so many veterans get reacclimated into their community, to still feel like they're a part of a team. Officiating involves, following rules. It involves being yelled at like it happens to you in being in the military. It involves teamwork. It involves, working for a greater good and to help others. So we've just found that so many veterans, once they get into this program, find an identity after getting out of the service that they're looking for.
That's cool. And like you said, because you got to get a lot of guys out there who are always, they're lost, always looking for something to do, something to get into. Right. And, and if you're viewing this program, of course, you're a football lover or you love some type of sports. And like
I would just like to make a plea. If you're hearing this and you think it's a great idea and you want to donate, you go to Battlefields, the number 2 ballfields.org. and you'll see all the information on it. We just had our annual fundraiser out in Sacramento to help fund these scholarships. But also, if you're a veteran and you'd like to become a sports official in your area, get on the website, battlefields2ballfields.org, and look into it. The application for the scholarship is simple. If you just say you heard this on Steeler Nation and Jimmy Debell was talking about it, it'll fast forward the application through. But basically, if you're a veteran and you're interested, Mike very rarely has to say no. He finds a way to find the money for the people. And if it's any sport, it doesn't have to be football. If you want to get started simple and, maybe officiate track and field and just go there like this with a stopwatch, it's you're giving back, you're helping. Because what people don't realize is when they're yelling at the officials at the youth level, I'm not talking about the NFL. I got paid plenty. You could yell at me all you wanted. But at the youth level, if they don't have people officiating at that level, there's no youth sports. I mean, you can't play a Vince Lombardi football game without somebody deciding if there's pass interference or offensive holding or just blowing the whistle and getting the kids organized. And yeah, we need coaches and we need other people out there to keep these sports going. But there's a bad situation in our country for youth sports officials. And it's just a great organization. I'm so proud to serve on the member board for Mike Pereira. And I'm so happy that Jamie promotes this in his work, being a sheriff in his area and a veteran. He's trying to find other people to apply. So thank you very much, Jamie.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Also, I implemented a program with Monroe County Court with the Veterans Drug Court, and giving those guys a purpose in life that, to get you away from drug and alcohol addiction, to give you a purpose in life. Because a lot of these guys who've come over, seen war, they have PTSD. They have it's very difficult to reacclimate yourself into society when you come from the military. And a lot of guys can't handle it. They don't have family. They turn to drugs. They turn to alcohol, and they have no purpose in life. So what this program has done is, we're introducing it to these veterans who are like, hey, maybe I can do this. I'll have a purpose in life. I'll stop with the drugs and the alcohol. I'll turn my life around. And Rochester already has a handful of veterans who are going through the court system who can and will change their life for the better, and not only help themselves, but our local community and our area. And Jim, thank you for bringing this to my attention, our attention, and we're gonna dish this out, every meal that we have when we come on this show.
Yeah, if they go to the website, Jamie, and there's videos, and there's a really strong, powerful message on a video that ESPN did on Mike in the foundation. And there is a Rochester guy who was considering suicide. I mean, he's very, very blunt about it and open, PTSD. And he heard about Battlefields to Ball Fields on the radio, applied, and he now officiates 3 sports in the Rochester area: football, basketball, and softball. And
wow.
He got a job. He attributes just the sense of belonging again, becoming a sports official for our community through Battlefields to Ball Fields, to saving his life. His wife, if they don't do anything, if they just go on the website, and I urge you guys to go on it. Anyone that's listening, go on the Battlefields to Ball Fields website and watch the video that ESPN produced. It's 6 minutes of your time, and you'll go, where can I donate? Or if I'm a veteran, how can I apply? There is a sport out there. You can do it. If you're this passionate that you listen to Steeler Nation, I guarantee you'll be passionate about finding a sport you can officiate. Maybe not football, but something to help and give back. And as a veteran, it's what courses through your blood, is giving back and serving a community.
Wow.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Jim, let me ask you something too as well. You know what? We're getting not too far.
I'd way rather talk to you, all right? So yeah, fire away.
Amen, brother. Hey, look at him. But let me ask you this.
Next time I'm on, I want one of those headsets, all right?
We got you, brother. We got you.
Oh, absolutely.
You know it's going to be Steelers, though, right?
Last time I was on, if the Steelers win next week, now I'm the good luck charm. Maybe people will say it was Trai, but hey, us officials had some luck too, so
Oh, let me ask you. That's what I wanted to ask you about. Now, you being this guru to officials, what other things that you got going on out there? I mean, I've been hearing a lot of things. I've been hearing stuff with the XFL, the USFL. I've been hearing just crazy stuff going on. What's going on with Jim Debell?
All right. Well, obviously there's a tie with Mike. Mike Pereira was the supervisor that hired me to the NFL, and then on-field officiating career was cut a little shorter than it probably should have been. Stuff that in private life can interfere. People don't realize what it takes to be a professional sports official. And so when Mike started to get back into the Alliance of American Football, and then it became the XFL, and now it's the USFL, they keep changing the names. But, Mike reached out to me and he said, listen, you're great at training the officials. You're doing that in the college level. I'd like you to come back out on the field, work on the field, and work with the people the NFL is looking to hire for their staff as officials. And what we found is you can actually, being in the foxhole, so to say, with the young officials, help train them by they watch how I work, they watch how I interact with the coaches, the players, for example, Sherman, whatever. There's a huge dynamic that's involved out on the field that people don't realize is going on in officiating. They think you just stand there and throw your flag when you see a foul and blow your whistle. It's not like that. It's a big communication thing. So we've really found that of an official that's on the field training the young ones helps train them better. I mean, it's that way in every other profession.
Right.
Older teachers help younger teachers. Older coaches help younger coaches. Older players help younger players. I'm sure Trai helped young players as they were coming up through and at the end of his career in the NFL. So I'm basically an on-field official that is also training the future NFL officials. And there's several in the last 2 years that were on my USFL crews. I think I did a quick count before I came on, and it's 7 have been hired in the last 2 years that were literally on my USFL, not mine, but our USFL crew.
Right.
Perhaps learning from me. They kept in touch. They still reach out to me. If I see them do something, I'll reach out to them. So it's kind of like a mentor in the field trainer.
Wow.
So talk about this merger, if you can, Jim, with the USFL
Well,
and XFL.
I can tell you what I know, but basically if you Google it, you're going to know what I know. There's so much going on behind the scenes, Jamie, that there's nothing definite. But what they're talking about is the XFL and the USFL are going to combine and become one united league and maybe lose some teams. I don't think any of that's decided yet. And then kind of have a XFL and a USFL division, and they'll have the winner play each other. I think it's genius, to be honest with you. It's what the AFL and the NFL did back in the 60s. And
that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah. I mean, I said it last year. I said, man, wouldn't it be cool if the USFL champion played the XFL champion? I mean, I'd go watch.
Yeah,
are they the, the Ben Roethlisbergers of the, talent level? No, but there's guys that have made it from both leagues. And, I think the Dallas kicker set the record for the most, consecutive kicks made as a rookie. And
wow.
the guy that's the returner for the Cowboys was a USFL MVP the first year. So, I mean, these guys, it's just such a thin line between making the NFL roster and not. And in the past, the ones that didn't were abandoned. There was nothing for them to hone their craft. Maybe it was they just didn't have, a coach that saw something in them, or maybe they had a personal problem in their personal life and it affected whether they made the roster or not. Well, everybody deserves that second chance to show what they're capable of. And that's what the XFL and the USFL is doing for these players.
Wow.
So
another thing too, that's phenomenal is it's affordable. I work a USFL game and I look up and I see a mom and a dad with their 4 kids there, and it's not costing the father the entire, paycheck to bring his family to the game. It's affordable. I mean, if you were a kid, you were at a football game, you didn't know the difference. It's just like an NFL game. It just doesn't have the huge pomp and circumstance, but it's still exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Football 365. I could deal with that. Not a problem. But so Jim, are you open to answer some questions? Because we see some questions on the board.
If I can't answer it, I'll say I can't answer that. Sure.
There you go. If I can see, one of the callers is asking that certain games, a lot of penalties have been missed, and a lot of penalties have been thrown. We all know you're a human being. You put your pants on the same way we all do, I hope, one leg at a time, and we make mistakes. We're human. But one caller saying about the Eagles-Dolphins game that happened a couple weeks ago, a lot of calls that were missed. What can you attribute to that?
Well,
if you can't answer it, you can't answer.
No, let me think about how I want to answer it. You said a big thing is they're humans, and so I didn't watch the game, so I'm not going to speak from a point of view of I saw it and they missed these things. When I watch a game, do I feel officials miss calls? Yes. When I watch myself, do I feel I miss calls? Yes. That's called self-critiquing. The one thing I can tell your caller is if they are missed, it will affect whether those officials get postseason assignments. They are graded. It's one thing I do at the college level is I sit at my computer and I grade Conference USA and Mountain West officials, their games. Well, my grades affect whether those officials get a postseason assignment. So it's the same in the NFL. When I was working, I would get correct calls, incorrect calls, or no calls. So I understand what the fan is asking, but if the game was, in a point where they were missing calls that affect their grades, it's going to affect their postseason. So I guess what I'm trying to say is missed calls don't get unnoticed. They get noticed. Does that help you as a fan? If it's your team, not really. But I think if you were honestly took a step back and said, well, there was 3 calls missed against my team, but there was 3 that went the other way, you'll see it over the long run even out. And coaches definitely know that, okay? There isn't a whole lot of at the professional level, coaches getting after officials. They know you're going to get graded. They know that you've got yours coming. In the heat of the moment, do they holler? Yes, but that's sports. I mean, if you don't, like I said, that's what makes a veteran a good official. He's used to being yelled at or she's used to being yelled at. They went through boot camp. So you kind of, you kind of ignore how it's said and listen to what is said when a coach is talking to you.
Now let me piggyback off that.
Okay.
So let me ask you this question. It's happened not too many times, but it has happened in the NFL, and listeners out there, they could probably agree with me. So you're watching a game, say it's your team. We'll say the Steelers, okay? And there was a call by an official that changed the outcome of the game, whatever. It was
That's called
call.
A game impact call, okay? Just so you know.
Right. So
when you're grading, you don't, if you say, Jamie, you had a GIC, a GIC, a game impact call, you're kind of saying that was not good.
Wow. So what I'm alluding to is that, okay, I've seen it before. You've seen it. I'm pretty sure you've seen it. The game ends on a call and you're scratching your heads. And then later, a day later, whatnot, the NFL comes out with a statement saying, yes, there was a Mike Prayer might come on, or another head official saying, yes, the official, Jim Debell, made a mistake, or he failed to make the proper call. It should have been this. It doesn't change the outcome of anything on the field. The game is over, but what is the NFL trying to do or say by saying, yeah, we screwed up and Steelers should have won?
Yeah, I mean, that happens every week. Okay, coaches can send plays in at even at the college level. So when I'm grading, I see the plays the coaches send in, and the supervisor of officials will answer them. So if Coach Tomlin sent in 4 plays, he's going to get 4 responses to those plays. He's going to get told, no, this is holding, even though you didn't think it was. Yes, the official didn't call holding here, and they should have, and maybe a little explanation as to why it was a grab and restrict or a takedown. Yes, the official didn't call defensive pass interference, and he should have here. It is a contact early, not playing the ball. So they explain to the coaches that send plays in, and not every coach does it every week. I would say they all do it, but not every week. I'm not privy to that information every week. But basically, to answer your question, Jamie, the response back from the NFL is just a way of saying our officials are human and they made a mistake. And you just hope that, I mean, I never personally had a game impact call that affected the outcome of a game. That's your worst fear as an official. You go out on the field and you just say, I kind of want to be nondescript. I kind of want to get through this game and move on to wherever I'm headed next week. I want to get out of Chicago and get into Pittsburgh next week without anyone remembering that I worked Chicago.
Right.
And for the most part, I mean, there's some percentage, I don't exactly know what it is, but I think it's about 98% is correct. It's the 2% that's incorrect. You just hope none of that 2%, or let's call it 3% that's incorrect isn't a gick. It doesn't affect the game at the end, or blatantly where you say, you know, they would have had 5 more yards and maybe their field goal kicker could have made it. I mean, there's lots of ways that you could have a kick, but you just don't want to have one of them. And they do happen. So I don't know, if someone has a better response than the NFL telling the team that was a gick and it should have been called this way, it probably affected the outcome of your team winning, but it's over with. You can't go back to it.
Yeah, but if you think about it, honestly, you flip the coin, think of it positively. You official may have screwed a team into a loss, and those fans may hate you. But think about the team who won. You're their best friend now. So, yeah. I mean,
you just want to stay. You want to stay.
Under the radar. Gotcha.
And really, I mean, I don't know what the percentage. The game that the caller called in about, they obviously felt there was quite a few calls not called. It sounded like not called. Is that
right?
Not, there's such a fine line. You hear it all the time. You want the players to play. So that's what you're always trying. I mean, I guess if there's a label on the back of me, even still in the USFL, which if people tune in this spring, they're going to get to see me. I'm number 29. You want to be kind of labeled as maybe a player's official. You let them play until somebody gains an advantage. And I think that's what I try to teach when I'm out there working with the younger ones is don't be that guy that's calling, 7 or 8 calls, everything that's there. That's not what fans want to see either. They want to see the players play. If you ask Trai, he wants to play. Okay.
Right.
Until a defensive lineman pushes their hands in his face, then they gain a huge advantage. I don't know how you block with that big meat in your face. You can't block. Okay. And then from the other side, I think a defensive lineman just doesn't want to be grabbed and held. He knows he's going to get some shirt and stuff and maybe yanked if he gains an advantage, but not twisted and turned so he can't run. So the players, they want to let them play until the other guy gains an advantage.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. And like you said, you know what? Nobody wants to see a game that's full of penalties. You know what I mean? And people cry. It's like you want to kick and eat it too, because they don't want it full of penalties, but they want the penalties called. And if you call a penalty, you'll never get through the game anyway. So, right. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword. But
yeah, and I've seen some games this year where it seems like they're getting away from letting them play a little bit, but that's a fine line too. It's like with Sherman. I'm telling you right now that defense, when they got called for holding, would hold on the next play. They were daring the official to call it back to back.
He won't call it again.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, that's human nature. You just think they're not gonna. So if you gain an advantage, a good official is going to call it when they call it material restriction. We have all kinds of ways that we train and teach, but it's basically in layman's term, gain an advantage. Did they gain? And you could call holding on every play because technically, if I grab Jamie's shirt and go like this, that's holding.
Right.
But am I gaining advantage by doing that? If he's stronger than me, he should be able to break out of that and go make a play.
I see what you're saying. That makes sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like it. Hey, guys, like you said, Steeler Nation Live tonight. Hot things going on tonight. We got Jim Debell, ex-NFL ref, on talking to the Steeler Nation Live crew here, and we love the things you're doing. Jim, before we let you go, brother, you got to give us again what's going on with the whole organization. let everybody know how can they check it out, how can they become a ref and potentially become one day maybe an NFL ref.
Well, if you're a veteran, you can get a scholarship, 3 years paid your beginning, what it takes to become an official. It's called Battlefields, 2 ball fields, the number 2, just like the little whistle's got a 2 in there, .org. If you're non-official and you think it's a great idea to help our veterans in our country who have given, the ultimate sacrifice to help, some of them come back damaged, like Jamie said. Some of them come back whole, but they still want to give back to their community. They still feel like something's missing. And then they find helping youth officiating has helped them feel whole and help, get them over the hump or whatever it takes. Go to the website, watch a few of the videos that are on the website. Don't dig too deep into the board members or you'll see my ugly mug on it. But just you can donate. If you can only donate, $100, donate $100. Whatever you can donate, it will go directly towards a veteran becoming a youth sports official in their hometown. We cover the whole country. If you mention you heard it on Steeler Nation Live, Mike knows that I'm on this show tonight. If we can get enough people to donate, maybe in the off season or during the USFL season leading up, I can help you get Mike on and kind of promote the USFL and promote Steeler Nation, whatever. But he knows we're on tonight. He's in the hospital bed after his back surgery. And like I said,
wow.
You won't see him on Fox until next year, but you're going to see him on the USFL Command Center. And he does such a great job. I mean, he's just so personable. He'd blow me out of the water and, he'd be up there on top of your top 5 guests you've ever had. So let's get some donations from Steeler Nation Live, the Battlefields, the ballfields.org. And I promise you, if Mike sees a few that they mention this, he'll come on for you guys.
Beautiful. We want to reach out to Mike Prayer, say, prayers to you, fast healing, prayers to you and your family. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. Jim, thank you for coming on the show. We wish you and your family also to have a happy and wonderful, prosperous Thanksgiving. And if we don't see you, a Merry Christmas. So
awesome. Same to all you, and same to Steeler Nation. I mean, I got a soft spot in my heart for Steeler Nation. My first preseason game ever was in Pittsburgh. And like I said, Big Ben wouldn't get out of my way. And then he threw me under the bus and told Coach Tomlin I called him fat.
Hey, nothing better than that. You heard it here live at Steeler Nation Live. Ben Roethlisberger was fat. Okay.
No.
And we heard it from Jim Debell, who called Ben fat. Thanks for coming on, Jim. We appreciate it. Wow.
Yeah, anytime. Just ask.
You got it, Jim. I got your number.
Thank you, my brother.
All right. Have a good night. Wow. There you go. First, Trai Essex, and now Jim Debell, former NFL referee and USFL referee and permanent, or he still works there. And wish we had more time to open up the more questions for him. But busy man, he's got to go. We got to do our thing too. But folks,
and it's been a night. It's been a night, brother. I mean, look
what
we had on Trai Essex. Two-time Super Bowl champion. Jim Debell on the show tonight. And guys, like I told you, this is our holiday show. We got them all in. We got them live. The lines are still popping. So you know what? We're going to take it in here tonight on Steeler Nation Live. Who do we got on the line tonight?
Oh boy.
This is Matt Canada, and I can't believe you got me fired.
Wow, San Fran Steve. Welcome, San Fran Steve. The 49ers must be winning.
It must be winning.
Where were you at? Wait. Before you talk about my team winning, where were you last week when your team won and all of a sudden you were no-show? No, one more time, you're fired. We're going to replace you, put you on the IR.
Well, we have a couple guys lined up. We have resumes from Matt Canada. We just received that today. He's looking for a job. Kenny Pickett, we got his as well. We don't know if we're going to have him on the show, but we got a lot going on, and looks like your San Francisco 49ers have turned a corner. The only bump in the road you had was McCaffrey. His streak, 17 games scoring a touchdown, but still San Francisco continues to win. And I'm sure you watched the game last night. And I'm sure you watched the Cowboys. The Cowboys have been picking up steam for the last 5 games. Are you concerned?
Cowboys are playing nobody. No, Cowboys are playing nobody. We'll see what happens with Philadelphia this weekend.
Well,
So I'm not concerned, and I'm not really concerned about McCaffrey. Like he said, it's not about me; it's about the team. So
I liked his interview on ESPN. I like his comment about that when somebody asked him about it. He goes, it sucked because everybody else was scoring but him, and I thought that was pretty funny. He had a little humor there, but it's a statistic. I mean, you're in there to win games. If you score touchdowns or somebody else, it's about the W. It's not about who gets you there. It's about how you got there and you're there. So understandable.
Man, you should have asked that referee if he thinks that the NFL's rigged this year with bad calls and how the point spreads are hitting every single time, and that people are losing their money. What's that committee? This Barstool Sports that goes around to all the pizza stops and then goes. He's suing the NFL because no one wanted to talk about Joe Burrow's injury when a lot of people lost money. It's just like, so the NFL's rigged. It always has, and now it's a multi-million-dollar establishment. It's just going to get worse and worse now that people get bet on it. So
this has been going on. This has been going on when me and you and Sanders were kids. It's just you have to attribute to social media. A lot of people are seeing a lot of things that they normally would be seeing without social media. You're talking about the stakes are very high now. We're not talking about thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're talking about millions and billions of dollars. It's going in and out of Vegas. People, it's a way of life now. You look at all the sports betting places that just opened up in New York State. I can't even tell you how many are out there. You go to casinos, sports betting. It's all about the money. It's not about the integrity of the game anymore. It's all about winning games. And it's just, any sport you could talk about, baseball, soccer. If it's going to make money, you're going to find a way to get the money. And you hit the nail on the head there, San Fran Steve. It's rigged. I've been calling it rigged for many years now. NFL, National Fixed League, and it's becoming more and more blatant and more obvious what's happening. And I guess what's the word I'm looking for? It's just that you don't care anymore. That you're not even trying to hide it anymore. And when you got, like you said, all these games are beating the spread, making the spread, and Joe Burrow's injury that. A lot of people probably wouldn't have put a lot of money down on the Bengals had they known that there's a propensity for him not to finish the game. He got hurt. The guy had a brace on his wrist. He wasn't bowling or anything like that. It's because he had a sprained wrist. He couldn't even grasp the football on the sideline. So, I mean, stuff like that is ridiculous.
Well, I think if you look at it too and see where, like that article I sent you earlier today about Tom Brady just blasted the NFL. Here's probably the goal is just like what happened. We're taking away from the fundamentals. What made you a better team? What made you? He goes, look at the days that all these great players of Ronnie Lott and all these defensive backs and these cornerbacks would crush you. And there's a penalty today. And back in the day, it was just part of the game. You get up and you wipe the dirt off. You go for the next play. It's just like they're protecting too many people. They're protecting way too many people. And they need to go back to the fundamentals.
Don't forget, like Charlie Hayes, the defensive back for the Oakland Raiders back in the day with the stickum. Those guys would lather that up, had so much stickum on them, you couldn't even see their number. And so that was allowed. And it's just ridiculous how it era to era changes to what's the new controversy. How can we, try and switch things up, change things where, smoke and mirrors, where we can get by as much as we can, and then we'll have to switch it up and do something else. So
that's like your old guy, your old pro player, Mel Blunt. He'd be get called for every single one would be unnecessary roughness. It's just like, where has it got to stop? Because we're paying these players way too much. A lot of them are taking years off. No, it's not a contract year. I'll try next year. When the contract year is, I'll do better next year. It's like, this is all garbage. You know what? Maybe you should start paying these players instead of giving these quarterbacks $50 million a year for the next 4 or 5 years. And where else are you going to put the money? Like your defensive end and my defensive end, Bosa and Watts. Look at their ridiculous contracts. They're both playing out their mind. And do they deserve it? Yeah, but what's happening? You're taking away from the fans. Now you have to jack up the tickets. You got to jack up the concessions vans. You got to try to sell more jerseys to make. And it's not fun. I think the referee said it best. It's not fun for a family of four to try to go to an NFL game,
Right?
Unless you want to go to the Giants game, who's what 3-7 right now, who totally sucks right now. You can probably get tickets for $42 a ticket. Yeah, let's go to the Giants game, but you're watching bad football.
Yep. I totally agree.
Yeah, and then you gotta put into the equation the person who's been drinking all day and their team is shit and they're losing and people talk, and now you bring your family, your two kids with you, and now you're in the middle of a fight. You're witnessing a fight. People are being attacked at stadiums. It's not safe. And it's expensive, and you're paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to take a family of four to an NFL game. You're talking tickets, food, hotel, gas. It's like almost going to Disneyland for one night. And you want your team to win. And then when your team doesn't win because of whatever, bad calling, bad plays, your offense is horrible and you can't score any points and you lose. And that all that adds up.
It sure does. So let's talk about these trade deadlines. Once again, the Niners did something that no one expected. 2 years ago they got McCaffrey, and this year they got Chase Young. And Chase Young comes week 1, gets a half a sack with Bosa, and week 2 they both get sacks. So it's just like, once again, you can see where one team is a little bit more focused on winning, and your team right now, I really believe you call him the most winningest head coach in Steeler franchise. But if he's not changing his way of his mind thing is set, he's just going to keep being a satisfactory 500 team. I just think that, and I know I text you a lot and I send you a lot of photos. Kenny Pickett is not the answer. Kenny, white glove, 2 small hands. Pickett is a backup quarterback everywhere else in the league.
Well, here's the deal with Kenny Pickett. Okay, we talked. I don't know if you watched the show at the beginning, and we kind of hit on this. Would Kenny Pickett be a Pittsburgh Steeler today had he not played at the University of Pitt? And we both said no. I really don't think so. He has the attributes to play somewhere else at a small market team. Possibly, I'm not sure about a solid backup, but he has the potential to be a starter. And what confuses people is that this, just because he came out of college, he's 25 years old. I mean, you think about the average quarterback who's drafted in the NFL, who plays out his rookie contract, is now turning 25. So that comes into play as well. But you take where he came from and where he's been placed under the regime of Matt Canada, who really is a horrible offensive coordinator. I mean, maybe a great guy. Don't get me wrong. A father, a brother, whatever. Great guy, maybe. I don't know. But as an offensive coordinator, he's just horrible. Now, when you're taking a young quarterback, when I say young, I mean young as in the NFL, not his age. But when you take a young quarterback who's starting in the NFL and you have absolutely no leadership skills, you have no intelligence or football IQ to run an offense, and this guy, you're sending him out there to slaughter. He's already had 2 concussions. He's been hurt. He's been removed from games for injury because he's just being destroyed. And it's because the incompetence of not being a leader to your offense and teaching them what defenses look like. What do you do? How do you counter that? And this is exactly why Kenny Pickett is where he's at. Now, do we give up on him? We can't we can't give up on him right now. We can't do that. So
but you can bench him for a little bit. Let him get the rest that he does deserve, because if he is getting beat up week in and week out, last week you saw him get hurt. Thank goodness that they call a timeout and let him come back to the next play. But here's a guy who's averaging just over 50% completion rate. I don't know. I've been calling for your head coach or both your coaches to be fired for a while. But what about this? How about Matt Canada? Didn't have the trust in him because he sees what he sees in practice, and he doesn't have the accuracy for the long ball. What happens if Matt Canada doesn't he doesn't have enough time to throw, and that's why he's doing these little 5-yard dumps, because Kenny Pickett doesn't have the time. He's running for his life for every other play. It's just like your watch is on every play, just on the opposite team, just trying to hit that quarterback, and Pickett's a little nervous. He rushes his passes, or he tries to throw that fastball as fast as he can to the receiver, and he overthrows him, he underthrows him, he just totally misses his mark. So this is going to be a good thing to see that your running back coach and your quarterback coach, can they come up with a game plan to work with this kid? If he doesn't, if he still struggles, we know what the answer is.
Exactly.
Your quarterback's not the one.
But you have to give him a chance. You have to give him opportunity. I mean, if Canada
He's had opportunities for the last year and a half.
If Canada was still the offensive coordinator right now, he'd still be starting. There'd be no question. Trubisky, not the answer. Rudolph, they just gave up on Rudolph. He's just occupying a space right now. So I just don't understand
didn't Rudolph protect your guys when Ben went down a couple years ago? Rudolph was the one that kept you going to the playoffs and everything else. He showed that he can win.
So did Duck Dodges did when he came in. He has better, more touchdowns, less interceptions, and passes completed and yards completed as a quarterback than Kenny Pickett does. And where's Duck Dodges now? Is he back to the grocery store, doing the Kurt Warner, stocking shelves? Who knows where this guy's at? But I'm just saying, anybody could come in there, and as long as you're mediocre, I guess some people that's good enough. And once you come complacent, and then that's daily operation. And what I was going to say earlier was that what infuriated me, not the fact that the Steelers lost to the Cleveland Browns when they have every opportunity to win that game, is that when Mike Tomlin comes on and he does his same speech, you can't tell if they won or they lost. There's no intensity, no passion, no fire, nothing coming from Coach Tomlin. And that upset me. And something had to be done. And if you're a coach and you're playing at that level and you're not getting answers and you're not getting results, and you come out there in a press conference and you don't even, and whoever's listening can't even tell if you won or lost, that's a problem.
Yeah, but hold up, Steve. I can't go by that. And I understand what he's saying, but I can't go by that. Only reason I say that because I feel that Tomlin's one of those coaches. He doesn't like throwing his players under the bus. He likes to keep everything in-house because he figures if it's kept in-house, just like the rest of us, you keep a lot of your stuff in-house because you shouldn't let all your personal stuff out there because in the back.
I agree, but throw a water cooler. Yeah, do something. Show people that you care.
But in the vacuum that they live in, all social media needs to do is get a tidbit of something, and they run with it.
I agree.
You're 100% right.
And so that's what he does. I think he keeps it in house, and which I don't blame him. Keep it in house. Let's handle it in house, and then go out in the field and show what we got. Now, granted, that whole thing was bubbling over with Canada, and that needed to be done. I don't know if that was above his head for that situation or what, because I don't know what he needed to see or what anybody needed to see on the Steelers staff to end this. But the thing is, I think they made the right move by letting Canada go. Like you said, Steve, try to figure out if it is Kenny Pickett. And if it is, we'll find out by the end of the season. And the Steelers can figure out what they're going to do next. And like some of the other guys who wrote on the board earlier, start going after a nice QB in the draft or figure out what they're going to do. But I agree with you. At this point, Kenny Pickett is not the answer. I wish we had a Purdy out there who, a last guy who you just pick up just for crap and giggles, and this guy's leading the damn league. It's crazy to watch. And speaking of that, Steve, give me a score for the San Fran game. Wow. I got my pen.
Christmas or Thanksgiving night. It's going to be 33 to 22.
33-22.
Seahawks.
San Fran over Seahawks. 22.
No, he said Seahawks over.
Wait, let's when Jamie was let's just talk about this for a second. When Jamie was going on his tangent, his Stephen A. Smith tangent, he forgot some big words like blasphemy. There's a blasphemy that he got let go tonight.
Oh, man.
I did say you would know. You guys can't compare the firing of Ken Dorsey and Matt Canada. Ken Dorsey had all the tools in the world, and he just didn't know how to use them. He ran his offense. He didn't know how to. Buffalo was in the lead of a lot of those games that they lost, and what happens? He doesn't know how to time manage.
Well,
Your guy just did.
I'll give you that, Steve, but he's not the one throwing the interceptions. I'm just saying.
But he's also leading the league in touchdown passes, percentage passes, and everything else. So there's a difference between Kenny Pickett and Superman Josh Allen.
Oh, absolutely. Listen. Josh Allen has more yardage and more passes completion in the first quarter than Kenny Pickett does in the whole game. I'm sorry. Facts are the facts. I know it sounds horrible, and I'm not trying to, to bash him, but the truth is the truth. I mean, you got to call for what it is. It's unfortunate that we have Pickett, but we do, and we have to work with it. So
yeah, and the problem with Josh Allen, why he's not the best quarterback in the league. The reason he's not the best quarterback in the league is because he tries to throw that needle through that needle right through there and between double coverage and gets picked off.
Yep.
Like the one, yes, and the one the other night at the end of the first half where he just tries to throw it down. That doesn't bother me. But like the first Jets game, he threw it to the same safety 3 times and got picked off. Yeah, that bothers me. Then I sent you like 2 videos, Jamie, about the perfect game from this young guy who has just as many games as Kenny Pickett and not crickets.
Well, send me some real stuff. All right. Send me some stuff that matters.
What's that? That when you I didn't call you. I just asked you a question. What the hell? You guys lost to the Browns just like you did to me many weeks ago.
Well, weren't you undefeated when you lost to the Browns? I don't know.
Yes. You know what? I told you a long time ago. I didn't expect to go undefeated. Browns had one of the best defenses in the league.
Wasn't that in San Fran too?
No, I think that was at Cleveland. I think.
Was that Cleveland? No,
that was in Cleveland. That was in Cleveland.
You sure?
Yep. Yeah, it was.
Don't worry. We're running the tables this year right now.
Hey, you know what?
Hey, we gotta get a score from Steve on this Steeler game.
Yeah, let's get a score.
Steelers Bengals, Steve.
Well, I still, even though the Bengals doesn't have a quarterback, and thank goodness because you guys got the Bengals twice this year.
Right.
I think we're going to split. I think you both are going to win it. Both teams are going to win at home. I think they're going to beat you by 3 points. So I just don't think you guys are. I'm glad to see you guys went to the run, the game that Jamie went to. He went to the run and did well for you guys. I think last week you went away from the run and tried to stuff it in where you can.
No, I think you guys did pretty good on the ground. Jalen Warren had over 100 yards rushing on the ground. Granted, he did have the 74-yard touchdown run, but still, I mean, it's unheard of for a Steeler running back to gain over 100 yards. But we did pretty good on the run. I would have to agree on that, but the rest of the game, not so much. No.
I think you guys will get, 1 touchdown, 3 field goals. Maybe a safety or something like that. Let's just say, the Bengals just have still too many weapons. I think they got. I don't know. Do you put Porter on Chase the whole game?
Gonna have to
because
But then you got T. Higgins to worry about. So
yeah, it's gonna be a rough game.
It's gonna be a long day.
And you got Boyd. And you got Boyd too.
It's gonna be a long night.
No joke.
It's gonna be a long night.
I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be 24-19.
24-19.
Up.
Bengals.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
All right, San Fran, Steve. Thanks for calling in. We love your banter.
And you know what? You should go to 90 minutes every week because we could fill it up for you.
That's what we're talking about. That's my boy San Fran Steve checking us out. Hey, brother, thanks again. I got your score. Oh, did we get actual score?
Yes.
Okay. What was the score?
You guys 33-20, 33-22.
That was for San Fran. How about for Steelers Bengals?
I said 24-19.
24-19.
24-19. Okay.
Bengals. All right, Steve. Well, thanks for calling in.
You guys have You guys have a beautiful Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you next week.
You and your family. Sounds great. Take care,
All right.
pal.
Bye.
Wow.
Hey, like we said, guys, lovely Steeler Nation live night. We had it buzzing.
Listen, before we stop, before we end the show, I mean, we're going over, and we can do the show all night. But the question I wanted to ask you, Sanders, out of the draft of the quarterbacks, which team, I don't want to say got screwed, but I'll say it. Which team got screwed worse, the Pittsburgh Steelers or the New England Patriots with the quarterbacks that we drafted?
Oh,
What do you think?
You mean
Mac Jones?
Yeah.
Or Kenny Pickett? What do you think? Who got screwed the most? Now you look at the coaching. You look at the history of each team. Okay, New England Patriots, well renowned Bill Belichick. Okay, and then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, another genius who runs a football team. Both draft quarterbacks in the same draft, same round. Who do you think got screwed more?
I think to be honest, I think it's a tie. We both got quarterbacks that can barely move the ball, and not just they can barely move the ball, but we both got quarterbacks that
I'm gonna have to say
that are young teams.
I'm gonna have to say the Patriots, because they're talking about Bill Belichick getting fired. That's you've never would have put that in your mouth, like Will Smith. Don't ever put that in your mouth. Maybe got slapped by Belichick. I don't know, but I actually think the Patriots got the short end of the stick on that one, because you look at the record and look at Mac Jones may have put up some more yards and touchdowns than Pickett, but we got more wins than them.
Yeah,
and who's talking about, other than frustrated Steeler fans, of Mike Tomlin needs to be fired?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Adam. Like I said.
Anyways, folks, you know what? It was a great night here at Steeler Nation Live. We had amazing guests, amazing callers. We had a lot of people writing on a message board. Really, really sorry we couldn't get to your phone calls tonight. But next week, here at Steeler Nation Live, same place, same time, 6 o'clock, Tuesday night. Call in, check in, message in, and hopefully have some more guests for you tonight. So, James Owen,
Sanders Tisdale,
we say goodnight, and please have a safe, happy Thanksgiving.